Sustainable Aquatics in Jefferson City, Tennessee is a marine ornamental hatchery. Since 2003, the Tennessee SA Hatchery has bred dozens of species from resident broodstock, and every month provides tens of thousands of healthy, colorful fish to retailers around the country and globe, and from pairs to hatching and nurturing their eggs and fry with domestic and in-home nutrition, to providing our customers with the most quality and variety of designer clownfish and ornamental species. Our focus is on superior care for our fish to achieve the best health and highest quality and survival to the hobbyist aquarium. Welcome to the wonderful world of Sustainable Aquatics. Our journey for our clownfish starts here, in one of our 5 broodstock rooms. Here at SA, we have well over 300 breeding pairs, and we have had success at breeding the longfin clownfish, sub-zeros, Picasso, and Mai Tai clownfish. It all started in here, with several more to come. Breeding clownfish are paired, with the larger being the female that protects and guards the nest, and the nest being on the back wall. The male is in charge of gently picking at the eggs to clean them, as well as fanning his tail to provide water and oxygen around the eggs. Eggs typically hatch in about a week, and the larvae are gray and about 3 millimeters when they are moved into a greened tank with in-facility grown algae and rotifers. In about a week or so, they go through metamorphosis, in which they begin to show their distinctive patterns and are offered SA Clearly Complete dry food. Each tank is in what we call a system, and are in the cycle of pre-larval to larval. They are reset and hatched into approximately every 3 to 6 months. With that, we begin our facility tour. This is the lagoon, where we have several species of large fish, including a batfish, yellow tangs, a 6-armed Bahama star, 2 epaulet sharks, and more. This is one of our larval rooms, and in our facility we have 26 systems with 18 tanks being in the average larval system. Some have more, and some have less. These tanks contain our broodstock's fry, which can have anywhere from 300 to 2,000 eggs per nest. In this hatchery, survival from birth is often near 99% throughout the entire life cycle, which of course is a prerequisite for those wonderful animals to have a high survival, rewarding to the hobbyist. On average, we have 600 to 1,000 fish per larval tank. High yields define SA in a very important way. If a hatchery has a very low yield on eggs, as most do, the survivors have been compromised by what killed their siblings, and will not offer the retailer and hobbyist the best experience. This is the largest room in the facility, the annex, which contains 8 grow-out tanks, which I'll elaborate on in a moment, and the rest of our larval tanks. During this part, you will see almost all of the differing stages of the systems in hatching, growth, and reset. We have over 432 pre-larval and larval tanks overall, with a large portion of these being in the annex, as well as our hybrid systems, which are larger and contain more volume for our fish that require more room than the average larval tank. I'll be giving you some more information about Sustainable Aquatics overall, as you enjoy viewing our wonderful fish. Sustainable Aquatics was founded from interests that included those of the hobbyist, scuba diver, process engineering, degrees, and studies in EEB, marine biology, and molecular biology, as well as funded excursions on scientific work in the Great Lakes, the Keys, Oman, South and Indo-Pacific, and 1 multi-month mission from the equatorial Atlantic to the edge of the Arctic ice pack. Our approach to SA has always sought to apply the most modern edge of process engineering, formalized problem solving, benchmarking, and modern management to achieve the highest yields and highest levels of sustainability. For SA, sustainability means many things: taking less from nature, using less CO2, achieving and contributing to the highest yields and survivability, creating and sustaining economic partnerships with those who can safeguard our nature with caring goals. We do this here based on making clean water using high-quality instant ocean synthetic salt to provide consistent high-quality water for broodstock, larval, and grow-out. A 150 kilowatt standby power system, powered by city utility natural gas, ensures that nothing can interfere with the steady state control we have over all conditions here at Sustainable. SA is moving forward with all of its resources for that mission. We envision a world where the vast volumes of species and fish are hatchery-bred tangs, angels, anthias, butterfly fish, chromies, and others, where wild-caught fish are still important and more valuable, but focused on special, highly valued fish. a trade better supporting local fishers and less dependent on the supply chain wholesalers who dominate the trade today. This is why we only sell to businesses who can show us their business license and storefront, to keep the small businesses alive and thriving, as well as the demand for marine ornamental fish away from wild-caught oceanic broodstock. We also have several projects that help us with these goals, including maricultured corals, sustainable islands, and breeding new and improved reef fish, which offer differing varieties of blennies, dottybacks, dragonets, antheas, and others we're expanding into. These fish are well cared for in this facility, with different pre-larval, larval, reef fish systems, and others that we have time to show you in this video. With that, we're probably going to move on to our grow-out room, where you can see how these larval fish develop into what we can sell and ship to you. This is where our grow-out tanks reside, and the fish are given a differently formulated, clearly complete to provide the best nutrition for health and to grow in mass. There are approximately 600 to 1,000 fish per tank, because at this point they are sorted and inventoried for shipping and financial accountability. Depending upon species, SA begins offering our clownfish for sale when they are about 1.5 inches. These varying sizes are a great way to form pairs. With over 96 grow-out tanks in 7 systems, this makes anywhere from 57,600 96,000 fish in total, which is quite the task to count. We keep 5 sizes of fish: nano, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, small, 1 inch to 1.5 inches, medium, 1.5 inch to 2 inches, large, 2 inches to 2.5 inches, and jumbo, or anything bigger. Not including reef fish and sustainable islands fish, we offer over 64 types of designer clownfish, with many types to come as new types of designer fish arise. In our mini dives over a wide range of territory, for instance, Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, Oman, Arabian Sea, Japan, the Coral Sea, Indochina, Australia, Fiji, and the Solomon Islands, we've often noted the fact that many species will coexist on the same reef. We often, even typically, see many variants. The range of variants often seems endless, and many of the designer clowns we breed represent actual variants found in nature, although selectively exaggerated through careful breeding in the hatchery. You can purchase our fish by asking your local pet or aquarium store to request our fish if you're an individual, or if you're a retailer, can provide your business license and photo of your storefront to be approved as a vendor. Then you can pick out the breeds you like. You can log into your online retail portal, give us a call, or send us an email to place your order. We offer so much more than clownfish, with sustainable islands fish, corals, and reef fish available at your disposal. Your fish are then lovingly hand-caught and bagged with enough oxygen and water, as well as heat or cold packs as needed depending on location and temperature, and then shipped to your door, with anything dead on arrival refunded and replaced. Live phytoplankton is food for many inhabitants of reef aquariums, not only soft corals, clams, scallops, feather duster worms, tunicates, but copepods, rotifers, and many other sandbed inhabitants, which are food for stony corals and our larval fish. It's taken years of research to find species of algae and diatoms that survive storage while retaining their nutritional value. Unfortunately, the species used for commercial bivalve culture become almost worthless once they're removed from actively growing culture and placed into refrigerated storage. This is why DT does not contain Isochrysis, Pavlova, Tetraselmis, and other species run as ingredients in other phytoplankton products. We are also using Nanochrysis to make Aztec xanthan, a very important antioxidant and anti-cancer agent for medical and food use. Sustainable Islands is where we collect small and post-larval animals from the wild and raise them up in a separate facility. In late 2008, we began to understand the nature of sustainability in new ways, that we had to support native collectors, but channel them towards those species which would be collected and transported sustainably, focusing on juvenile animals instead of reef broodstock, and those species that would do well in this business. We do not support cyanide or chemically caught fish. Our maricultured corals have been selected from sustainable broodstock and grown for several months for transport for final grow-out in Tennessee. In 2010, we began setting up dozens of micro-coral farms in the Indo-Pacific, with agreements from tribal leaders. We focus on the farming of corals and clams for controlled broodstock, the collection of post-larval small fish, and through these arrangements, the protections of corals, clams, and large fish, through the economic incentives and business relations, protect corals, clams, and endemic broodstock. This is important as the destruction of reefs had led to several environmental consequences, and unsustainable practices have furthered their destruction. When water is too warm or the pH is too high, corals will expel the algae living in their tissues, called zooxanthellae, which makes them turn white. This is called coral bleaching. By making sure we aren't disturbing the natural reef by collecting juvenile coral samples, we're making sure we don't contribute to this coral bleaching. After being in the saltwater industry for more than a decade, Sustainable Aquatics is now branching into something new. Sustainable Aquatics is now delving into the world of freshwater, where we're offering blue, orange-blotched, dragon blood, peacock cichlids, as well as brindifrontosa cichlids, bicolor lab, as well as Lake Malawi saluosa cichlids. We're hoping to expand our freshwater inventory very, very soon and are excited about the new venture into another area. We hope to offer our views on sustainability and aquatics, as well as aquaculture in these areas regarding freshwater. Cichlids are just the